I don't want to play with you anymore. Well, now that that's sold, we should talk about the top guns we regret buying.
Have you ever bought a gun just to have immediate regrets afterwards? Well, if you have, this video is for you. So, everybody buys firearms. Sometimes because they're cool, sometimes because you're like, oh wow, my friend has one, I want that one too. You buy it and then you realize, this sucks. Or it's broken, or it's not for you. Exactly. So, speaking of, we thought we would do a video on our top guns so far that we were kind of have regrets buying, or maybe they broke on us or exploded, who knows. And so we're going to start with the firearm you just saw.
Yeah, that was my stainless steel Marlin Model 60 SS. Very, very pretty gun. I got it on sale. I was super excited for it. Laminate stock, stainless steel finish. It shot very accurately, but the one thing I just couldn't get over is the silly mag tube. You have to pull it out, drop shells into the top. It was just a little archaic for me. I like more conventional loading means, and it was just something I couldn't get over, so I sold it, and it's no longer with me.
Very, very recently, actually. No, that gun was beautiful, though. Like, I remember the first day you got it. Like, that's really nice. The complaint that I had with it was loading it. Or, sorry, not loading, like, through the tube, but actually getting around in the chamber, because you had to, if I remember correctly, you had to drop the bolt and then pull it back and let it go again, right? Like that you had to hit the bolt release, and then you had to like do it again.
There's like a little like blade at the bottom. You like jam your finger against it.
But it doesn't actually grab around and like throw it in. At least that one didn't, right?
No, it did. If you just racked it and let it go.
Well, why didn't it do it for me then?
It was finicky at times.
Well, now I wish it was still here. I misjudged it. But fun gun, but as mentioned, like, you know, it's not necessarily for everybody. If you have a tube-fed 22, you might be screaming at us right now, because I know there's a lot of them out there.
Back in my day, that was the only way to load a gun.
These sons of bitches! But moving on, probably to something that's... We're not the only ones who've made this, we'll say mistake, and that is Turkish shotguns. So, this is my first shotgun, which is the Canuck Defender. I don't know why I still have it, because I hate it. It's not the worst, but it's basically I don't even want to say a poor man's 870, because it's like an even poorer. It's the poor man's 870, I'd say.
Yeah, if you had a Turkish uncle that like played mad scientist in the garage and kind of mashed the good-ish parts of an 870 and the bad-ish parts of a Mossberg 500 and then made it cheap, this is the byproduct.
I tried to make the best of this by putting a sling on and like, oh wow, have like a little shell holder on the side, and it's not that bad. Things are cracking. Things are moving around a lot. It really feels really cheap. This sucks.
Does it feed every time?
That's the other thing too. I remember sitting out in the field just trying to get it to... Actually, I feel how stiff that is too. I haven't...
And that's not like a brand... That has a few hundred shells through it, and it's still
easily.
Clunky.
I remember sitting out in the field just going, trying to get a shell out, and then eventually having to go in and actually hit the latch. But yeah, just kind of cheap. Really cheap. The thing about this too is that I spent, I think, like $350 on this, thinking
plus tax and shipping.
Tax and shipping, thinking like, oh wow, this is a good deal. You know, for a shotgun under $400. I'm an idiot. I should have looked at the resellers market to see what was out there, because I very easily could have picked up just like anything. Like I'm kind of an Ithaca 37 kind of guy now, but like I could have grabbed a Mossberg 500 or like just a Junker 870 and like done it up the way I wanted, like an actual 870.
And it would have worked.
So I've learned my lesson. I still have this. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm embarrassed to put it up for sale. I think he's like, oh wow, I'll give you like $50 for it. And I'm like,
a fair deal, sailor.
Yeah. Oh man, I won't let it go for anything under 55. You know. So, but I'm not the only one who's had experience with these.
No, you think that after experiencing one problem, you would be, maybe stay away from this. But I was a hard learner. Around the time Sean purchased his Canuck Defender, I purchased a Churchill shotgun, similar length, a little bit cheaper. I think it was $280. That gun.
So I remember saying like, "Oh, you got the cheap one,"
and it worked. So it was a bit of a roller coaster. Out the gate, it needed warranty work. The shell latch actually just sheared off of it within a few shells, so it just like you put rounds in there, it just wasn't holding them in there, just all falling out the bottom. So I contacted the warranty department. They were so kind to send me the part to fix myself. So that was cool. I had to get a couple of punches and actually change the part out myself because their warranty department is A+.
Did they give you a gunsmithing book at least? Like, 2 pages is gunsmith. Like,
well, there weren't even videos on YouTube on how to do this. It's not even a genuine 870 clone. It's kind of a hodgepodge where I self-engineered or reverse engineered it, punched some pins out, removed the broken part, put the new part in, and it worked for, like, I'd say a good 2,000 shells.
You put a lot through that.
We shot the crap out of that.
Yeah, I think we actually do have a few videos of us shooting a stuffed minion and stuff like that.
If we find it, they'll be somewhere overlaid here. It was great, and then I got tired of it. It functioned after the repair relatively well, the odd hiccup here or there, and then I sold it to get a different Turkish shotgun. Now, I always misread it. It was the Feb arm or Fat arm, and it was the 8+1 big old riot length shotgun, and that one worked for 50 shells, 60 shells, and then it started having issues pumping, shells would get stuck in the tube, issues extracting, and it's not like we don't clean our guns, like, we have the stuff, the means to do so, we use the good stuff.
You can't clean the Turkish shot, or you can't clean the turkey out of a shotgun.
Yeah. Please don't cancel us.
Yeah, please don't cancel us.
Yeah. You could not get it to work well, so I actually sold it for pretty much what I had into it. Thank God. I told the guy, hey, here's what's up, and he had a machine shop. He said he was going to do some work on it and make it functional. But you think, oh, Nathan, you've learned your lesson. No, I had a single shot Turkish shotgun, one of the laser 12-inch barrel, 12 gauges you can break right down in half, like a little camper shotgun, and that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. We'd even talked about potentially during the angry no share time how that would be like a loner shotgun. Like, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, how can they screw this up?
Yeah.
That would have been a death sentence, I think, to anybody who
we send somebody out on a scouting mission and they get one shell out, bang, crack it open, and the shell's just stuck in there. So you have to use a cleaning rod, like a ramrod, tap the spent shell out, and you're pretty much reduced to a musketeer rate of fire.
Yeah, I might actually rather have a brown bass in my hand with a bayonet.
At least then you'd have the bayonet. This thing had pretty light stock. You wouldn't have got much weight in a swing with it.
No, I can get 3 shots a minute out of that at least.
But yeah, so the moral of the story is, don't buy Turkish shotguns.
With an asterisk to this, because we may or may not have actually purchased more Turkish shotguns since then and are planning to do a video on them because they're actually kind of fun. So we're not hating on Turkish shotguns completely, but the
87% of them are bad.
let's say 87%. That's a good number. They're cheap. That's one thing about Turkish shotguns is they're always going to be cheaper. At least some are actually getting up there. Some of the ones I've seen. Some
are getting close to what you'd spend on a Maverick 88, a Mossberg 500. So they've almost priced themselves onto par. They're not even a deal anymore.
Yeah, I think if a Turkish shotgun is your first shotgun, it's going to kind of skew your opinion a bit. Because I was like, wow, maybe I don't like shotguns. Then I realized, I just don't like this shotgun.
I don't like shotguns that break all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like doing the 7-pump shuck, waiting for the shell to come out?
I'm hoping that the duck will at least, keep circling the same area for me.
Or the zombie will stand still and start playing euchre and wait for you to get the shotgun to work. So, when sometimes you buy guns at auction, it's a bit of a wild card. You get a couple pictures, you get a vague description from some person that works at an auction house for probably minimum wage. They're not really caring. They're not a gunsmith. They don't really know. They just kind of give you the details they can. So I purchased a unknown brand, unmarked 12-gauge side-by-side at auction for a whopping $80. And it showed up, and it was very well patinaed. It was definitely well marinated in the, wear and tear department.
But Nathan, it's $80. How could you possibly have regrets?
Well, upon taking a whole bunch of pictures and running to the geniuses at Canadian Gun Nuts, I was like, hey, what on earth is this? And they helped me identify. It was a late 1800s, correct me if I mispronounce this, Piper, Belgian side-by-side. And it was proof marked for black powder, 2.5-inch 12-gauge. So not even 2 3/4. It predates conventional 12-gauge cartridges. The barrels did not sit flush on the face, so you could wiggle them like this. The stocks were I think brittle is the technical term in the industry.
Glass.
I think if you dropped it from shoulder height, it would just turn to dust like Thanos snapped his fingers. And then, I don't feel so good, Cap.
Yeah.
When the gun would disappear.
I like it when my stock is made of wheat. Like,
yeah, it was
just stalks
it was wicker. Wicker. It was practically.
Might be too much.
So I did a bunch of research after buying it because there was no details I could have researched beforehand. Realized it was a wall hanger at best. I put it on Gun Post with a very honest description saying, hey, this isn't a brand new, cool, high-speed shotgun. This is a clean it up, make it look nice enough to hang on the wall and tell your grandkids about it.
Is shit. Like,
It is doo-doo gun.
Yeah.
Well, regrets, but I got my money back out of it, and it was only in my possession for, I think, 2 weeks. So it was a pretty quick turnover. I got over it, and I've emotionally, come to terms with mystery guns aren't always the best option.
Which is funny because he actually just bought a mystery side-by-side from a gun auction, which...
gun show. It's a little more legit. You touch it first before...
Yeah. But that one is turning out well so far. But that's for future things. Next is kind of a tough one. This is going to be our last one, I think. And this is a tough one for me because it is not only a gun that I kind of mostly regret, it's also my first gun. So the first gun that I ever bought was this. This is an 8mm Mauser. I believe it was made by Steyr, and I think, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've actually thought about this. I'm pretty sure this was actually a during the war production, which has obviously been spoilerized at some point in its life. So aside from that, don't know a super amount about it, but I think my regret from it is just that I should not have, or I should have researched ammo and all that before I bought it, because this sat in my room basically collecting dust for a year before I actually finally sourced some 8mm. Now I know 8mm is out there, and I didn't know where to look. I wasn't really looking online as much as I was like calling certain shops. And when you're calling like Canadian Tire looking for like 8mm because you don't know, like, oh, is this like a rare cartridge? And they're kind of like giggling at you, being like, oh, we don't carry that. You mean 3.6?
That's a funny way to see 270 Winchester.
Yeah, exactly. So it just kind of sat there. Aside from that, another bad thing is that I don't even know. I have some trigger time on this. I've put a few hundred rounds through it. Mostly been at kind of close range. It looks like the front sight has actually been kind of like beat down. And so I don't know where this holds, because sometimes I'll get stellar accuracy, and then other days it's like I'm throwing toonies out into the field, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Money's free, so just get a handful of toonies and just into the ether.
This isn't the easiest thing to scope. I could scope it, but it's also like I have other scope rifles. Like I don't know if that was never really the intent of this. Ironically, the day that I shot this, I had already purchased another gun, which was the Mosin, which I shot, which I've had so much more fun with, which is a full wood military surplus rifle, which is kind of what I was looking for anyway. So this is just, I'm sorry, I hate to say it to you, it's kind of a regret to buy this. It's more, if this had been my second or third gun or something like that, it might have been a different story, but the fact that I sat on this for a year without shooting it, it kind of sucks. It's kind of a year of my license wasted. And to this day, I've thought about selling it, but it's also like, well, it was my first gun. I made the mistake of naming it, so...
you can't get rid of it now.
I can't get rid of Willie. Yeah. So, I'd say like 8 out of 10 regret. But with that is our list. I'm very interested to know if there are guns that you guys have bought and regretted. So you can put those in the comments below and let us know. If anybody says they regret buying a Mosin or something like that, you will be banished from our channel. You will not be able to, because I know there's some Mosin haters out there.
Instant banned. You think you can cancel us? No, we're going to cancel you.
But yeah, I guess unless there's anything else.
Yeah, keep your sights fixed on Barely Tactical, and we'll see you next time.